Yo guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. It's your boy Hillman here. As you can tell, I am in Cameroon at the moment, and the content creator struggle is real, guys, because yeah, it's just a whole lot to film content here without looking like you're in a sauna. But anyways, I got a new video for you today, a long overdue video. Excuse me, I'm going to be blowing myself once in a while because it actually really gets hot. It's like 33 degrees and it feels like hotter. So much into the room. Enter, you in the video. So, as I was saying, this is a long overdue video. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, be sure to check my Instagram feed. I post a lot of live stuff while I'm doing it. But I was in Sweden a few weeks ago for like a week to visit a friend over there. I ended up doing a lot more things and was so wow. But basically, this video is going to be talking about 5 things I found impressive about Sweden, or impressive/interesting about Sweden. It was my first time in Scandinavia properly. I've always been curious about the north. Always wanted to do things, try things in the north. So it's like, okay, how are the people? How's the development? You heard a lot of stuff about Scandinavia. So I was like, let's go experience it. My first time in Scandinavia, I had a whole bucket list for like, Scandinavian bucket list. But let's get right into the video without further ado. 5 things, or 6 things actually, I found very impressive or interesting about Sweden. Number 1, right, because I live in the Netherlands. Number 1, everything looks like a premium deluxe version of the Netherlands, right? I'm talking the toilets, the tap mechanisms, the public toilets. I wanted to say public transport, but I think I actually like the public transport in the Netherlands better. But everything just looks like a little pimped up version of the Netherlands. Like I went to the hospital and just the lobby, the waiting room just looked different. I mean, it depends on where you are, because I also went to a hospital outside of Stockholm and that wasn't so impressive. But the ones in Stockholm just felt like I went to the uni and the buildings, the infrastructure just looks like, wow, you guys put a lot of thought into this. Where it's just like, it's not like a make or break kind of thing, where it's not like if you don't have it, you're not going to swear, because in the Netherlands, stuff we have is really top notch, right? But it's just the thought that is put into that added level of comfort, just impressive. So the first thing I found impressive was just everything. The toilet just looked so slick. I'm like, these people really put a lot of effort into designing this toilet. Toilet just looks slick. The housing structure, like student housing, everything just looks so interesting. So that was the first thing I really found impressive. Everything just looks like a pimped up version of the Netherlands. It's crazy. I feel like I cannot really put it to words that much. You just have to like live in the 2 countries and then go there and compare it, right? But if you come from like Cameroon and go to Sweden, you're not going to necessarily notice the difference like that, because it's all going to be a huge difference. But for me, who was living in the Netherlands, which is already a really developed country, Sweden just felt like everything was a little bit, tad bit better. The second thing, and this one it took me a while to like get used to it, but it's just the degree or the amount of people who speak English. I'm talking, I did not meet anyone. Like the statistics say the Netherlands is the second non-English speaking country, like the second best, I don't know what it is, but they are, after England, they are in Europe, the next best country that has the most English speakers, because they're not native English. So I was like, yeah, Netherlands, you can't beat that, right? You can't beat that. When I went to Sweden though, yeah, I don't know, it was just different. Because in the Netherlands, you always have people who, for example, older people who never learned English and cannot speak English like that. So they always have to like revert to Dutch, although you have a lot of people who do speak English. But in Sweden, it was the speed at which they switched to English for me, and the comfort at which they switched to English was that there was no one I found who did. And I went to like church there, like a Swedish church. I went to the hospital. I spoke to a few people there. Went to school. My friend studied. Spoke to a few people there on the streets. I reach out to people and I speak to people on the streets. There just wasn't anyone I saw who wasn't comfortable in English. In the grocery stores, when you ask for something, I wasn't trying to speak Swedish, but I heard from others, if they just sense you're not from there, they switch automatically. And I wasn't even trying to sound like I was from there, because I know no words in Swedish. But that was so impressive for me, where I was like, I have not met one person who does not speak English. And the English is almost accent free. Like you don't get, wow, it's actually impressive. And that got me wondering what the mindset behind them learning English is, right? Because I mean, they're so far up there. I feel like it's not like a main tourist destination like out of the winter. or at least not as far as I know, like a booming tourist destination. This is not as far as I know. They don't really leave the country that much. So like, what is motivating them to study English? Okay, communicate to the world, yeah, but why do French people not, for example, want to learn English? Why do they not want to communicate with the world? Fair enough, French is a widely spoken language, and Swedish is not, so they need to, like, some way to communicate. But I'm just curious why kids who are so young already start learning English. Like, what's the mindset behind them learning it, and how do they think about it themselves before, Things that just, questions I was having while having some of these realizations. But that was the second most impressive thing, the degree at which people just spoke English and also good English. The third thing was the amount of electric cars. I mean, you hear about it, they have Volvos were everywhere. But just the degree of, and it's like you have all the electrics, like I've never seen a country, and I've been to a lot of countries, where there are more Teslas than the Netherlands. I always compare, because I love Tesla, so I always compare the Teslas. Now I'm also getting an eye for the Polestar, the Volvo Polestar, the electric car. And I just have never seen a country where you have more of that than the Netherlands. But yeah, in Sweden, you did. So that was one thing I found very impressive as well, the amount of electric cars they have there, which makes sense with their vision for like futuristic things and less pollution and stuff like that. They're really doing a good job there. It was actually quite impressive how much they have. Like Teslas were everywhere, like Polestars were everywhere, charging stations were everywhere. So it was really, that I found very impressive. Like I was just seeing Teslas left, right, center, all kinds, all models, all sizes, all shapes. Delicious. The fourth thing, and this one really got me. I was in Sweden for like 4 days, and then I realized, crap, I have not seen Swedish money. Because they don't use euros, they use the Swedish krona. I asked my friend before coming, should I take out cash? Because sometimes you need cash for the bus and other things. He was like, no bro, it's a cashless society. I said, all right, cool. The Netherlands is a cashless society too, duh. But I got there, they don't use euros, so you have some curiosity about what the money actually looks like. And I was there for 4 days and I never saw cash. Like I never had to use it. I never saw someone else use it. I never got change in it. And the only time I actually got to see it was because I asked a friend, do you know what it looks like? Have you seen it? And it was like, yeah, he saw it because his mom brought it for him when she was coming. But otherwise he would not have seen it as well. So he showed me and I looked at it and I was like, okay, damn, this is what it looks like. But when they say cashless society, they mean cashless society. Like I almost thought they did not have cash. They do have it, but it's just, you just don't use it. Everything is with your phone, everything is paid through mobile app. I think they call it Swift or whatever swipe they have up there. But it's just how cashless society was. Yeah, that was cashless. That for me was like, dang, I have not seen it. And of course, after the French showed me the money, I never saw it again. So it was like, they really are serious in the cashless society game. So that was something which was very impressive for me. The fifth thing, which I found very interesting / disappointing / anticlimactic, was the Karolinska University, right? Because that's one of the universities I'm trying to do a second master's in. So of course I was curious about it when they spoke to people who were doing the program I want to do, spoke to people who are doing other programs, because a friend of mine studies there, attended lectures at the university as well. And just the feedback I got from people about the university and the quality of the education. Of course, it's not generalizable for all programs there, because I best believe they have good programs and they're a great research university. Their research facilities are top notch. But apparently the master's programs were not as great as I thought they were going to be content-wise, connection-wise, and name-wise, yeah. But content-wise, they were not. So that is something I felt very anticlimactic, because I thought the Swedish education system was like really aggressive and competitive and stuff like that. But I should have known it would not be that. They just have a different way of looking at things. They have a more relaxed, laid-back way of education, where you're not really like, motivated to kill yourself studying and stuff like that. You take it at your pace, take it at your time. If eventually it's going to be fine. And it just got me wondering how they got the society to such a great place, but they don't really, they start school really late. I forget now if it was 4 years or 6 years when kids actually start learning stuff in school. Before that, they're just playing. And like within a very short time span, they get the kids to to a place where they innovate and like come up with all these ideas and stuff like that. And I'm just really curious how that process goes and how the vision of that is. Like, when did it start? How did Sweden get to where they are now? A lot of the stuff they do now is maintenance of what they've already attained. But how did they attain it in the first place, Things like this, questions I have while making some of these realizations. It was really cool. It was really cool to see how different the society was or is it's just so different. It's just really different. It's a different mindset. Everything is different. I hope I can live there one day. I'm really open to living there. I love the cold, which is the next point. But yeah, the university for me was, I'm like, okay, I can cross that off my bucket list because it's not it, basically, for what I want to do, at least. And the sixth and the last one is just my bucket list, man. My bucket list moments were just, I felt like God's favorite, like just in Sweden, things were just falling into place. How many times do you see the Northern Lights in Stockholm? My friends had lived there for like years, right? I don't know people who were born there, lived there 18 years, never saw the Northern Lights in Stockholm. I was there for how long? 1 week? I saw it twice in a row. I didn't just see the green Northern Lights, I saw the red ones too. And those ones are rare. So I'm like, bruh, feeling like God's favorite, right? So I saw the Northern Lights 2 times from Stockholm. Didn't even have to travel up north to see it, and they were really great. Waited till 2 a.m. though, but it was worth it. Shout out to my team for waiting with me till 2 a.m. To see the Northern Lights. And I also went cold bathing, right? So you know the thing where they do the sauna and then cold bathing afterwards. It's been always on my bucket list. I just always see people like in the ice, under the water. I was like, I want to do that, right? So I went there and I did it. We did it, Joe. Hey guys, we did it. So I'd like to thank a few people. I'd like to thank my parents for giving birth to me. I'd like to thank Ryanair for bringing me to Sweden. I just did it and it felt great. It felt great being in the sauna and then afterwards going for the cold bath, like the cold dip, trying to stay in there for like 1 minute. I did that multiple times. And I noticed when I came back, because you feel so good afterwards, even if it's cold outside, you don't feel it because it's good for your vessels, your blood vessels, the vascular training. And since I came back, because I showered cold, I've been showering cold for like almost 2 years now. And since I came back from Sweden, I basically try to reproduce that because I like the concept of it, the biological concept of the biological benefits. So I shower, start with cold for like a minute, then go to hot, like extremely hot for like 2 minutes, and then cold for like 2 minutes. So that's like my new shower routine. And it feels almost the same as I felt after doing the cold bathing in Sweden. So that's nice, I like it. Sometimes, for the most part, I still just shower cold. But once in a while, I'm like, okay, let's do some vascular training. And then like, it's 5 minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. So that is cool. I love it. All in all, it was a great trip. I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the food, the environment, the snow. I love snow. The only thing I am still curious about, one thing I did not do, which I'm still looking forward to doing, is eating the surströmming. It's like the really disgusting, smelly fish. It was out of stock. I think they're bankrupt. So I'm hoping to go back to Sweden sometime and try it out. I'm also going to go to the Disgusting Food Museum soon. That's still to happen. But I'm really curious about the people, what they're like, how open they are, and like how open they are to new people in society. I went there and went to church, Hillsong, Stockholm, felt very welcome. But I'm wondering how, just an average Swedish person is an average Swede. So that's one thing I'm still curious about. Maybe I might just move to Sweden at some point to experience that for like a year. But basically, those were the six things I found very impressive or interesting about Sweden. Let me know if you relate with some of this. Let me know if you also notice some of this from your travels or time living in Sweden. Feel free to interact with me in the comment section. And until next time, guys, stay blessed and peace.